You're listening to Extra Innings, presented by Next Level Training Center on the Sports Objective. Join us every Sunday night on Facebook Live and our YouTube channel as we talk East Carolina baseball.
Welcome into Extra Innings, presented by Next Level Training Center in Greenville. In fact, you can go to their great website, nextleveltc.com, or give them a call at 252-756-NEXT. I'm Dave Richmond, along with Kyle from LaGrange Barber. What's up, man?
What's going on, Dave? How you doing, man? It's good to be back doing a podcast again, all four of us. Seems like it's been forever. How you doing, Bubba Rosenbaum? Would you consider yourself the world's tallest man?
I was going to, Kyle asked Dave, and the way he was smiling when the show started, I was going to ask him what he'd been talking about.
I'm just happy. Matt Semenza, very happy to have you back, dude, and great to be back. I'm happy because we're all doing a show together. Seems like it's been forever, like Kyle said.
I know, man. What's going on, fellas? Definitely good to be doing a show together, the four of us, and you guys know I'm a baseball aficionado, so happy to bring my thoughts to the show tonight.
Yeah, well, you being a Jersey boy, we figured you grew up playing stickball there on the streets.
Oh, hey, absolutely, man. We used to play a lot of stickball, no doubt about it, no doubt. Like Rocky, remember in Rocky, Kyle?
Oh yeah,
definitely. And then you become a fighter and marry a girl from Philly named Adrian, and you go, hey, Adrian.
Hey, now, Dave, we have Craig chiming in already on Facebook. Craig, we appreciate you tuning in as always. Really over the last week and a half or so, I think the last content we put out was back on March 16th when Matt and I caught up with Vince from the Vol Network on talking about the hiring of Michael Schwartz. We've just been extremely busy over the last week and a half. We've actually attempted to do shows a few times, but something's come up, it seems like every time. So really looking forward to talking some Pirate baseball tonight. 4-1 week. Did unfortunately lose today. Nearly made the comeback. Got the winning run to the plate in the bottom of the ninth, but fell 5-2 to VCU. But midweek wins down at UNC Wilmington, which is always nice. Then somehow we managed to win a game against Elon despite issuing 11 free passes. And meanwhile, Phoenix pitching did not issue a free pass, and that we'll talk more about that in a minute. That stat really blew my mind. And then took two from VCU in really kind of lopsided fashion, especially on Friday night. But like I said, came up short today. So overall, 4-1 week, 14-11 overall now, and have NC State coming to Clark-LeClair on Tuesday at 6:30.
Yeah, it's aggravating today though, because when your starting pitcher goes out there and has the kind of performance he did, and you only give him 2 runs, and then bullpen guys come in and give up runs, it's just frustrating. We got to develop a killer instinct. We're the much better program, much better team than VCU. That's a game today. We've got the sweep in years past, and we're just not hitting on all cylinders. And at some point, you hope it all clicks, and we get that killer instinct to finish ball games and sweep series. If not, it's going to be a struggle the rest of the year, like it has been so far this year, where we're going to end up being a bubble team. A lot of people preseason had us as a World Series team, certainly a super regional team, and we're definitely not going to host this year unless something crazy happens and we win out. But if we keep playing like we're playing, we're going to end up being a bubble team. I don't think that'll happen. I think at some point this season, and guys, you jump in and comment on this, based on Cliff Godwin's history and the potential this team has, even without Wisenhunt, I think at some point this season we start playing more consistent baseball and end up as a solid 2 or 3 seed versus a bubble team. But as of right now, we're looking like a bubble team.
Yeah, it all comes down, guys, to we'll talk about that later in the show about the AAC baseball with conference play coming up around the corner. I mean, that's the thing is you've got to make sure that you take care of business in the conference. And how about it puts more Kyle. Another thing, guys, puts more pressure. You definitely not only to win the regular season, but you definitely looks like now you're going to have to win the conference tournament as well, don't you guys think? Meaning to have any kind of
we don't know if we're going to be. It depends on what you're talking about. I mean, I don't. If somehow we get red hot and we win the conference regular season, if you're talking about getting in position to maybe host, yeah, we take the conference tournament. But no, if you win the regular season conference title, you're going to be securely in a regional.
No, I'm not worried about at this point. I'm not worried about the Pirates making a regional. I think right now we're outside looking in. Hosting a regional is what I'm thinking. So that's and we got to. That's the thing, like you said, Josh Moylan. Happy to see him looking good. He's swinging the bat like what we've seen in the past, and that's the thing is that the bats. We got to find a way. That's the one thing that's been, I think, surprising this year is that the bats just haven't consistently been there like we've had in the past, and I think that's one of the things. Stating the obvious, but every season's different, and this year we haven't seen the bats like this. Bubba helped me out, but it's been quite a while since maybe 17, but it's been a while since we've not had the bats going like they should.
Yeah, you really, you think about it, and even that 17 team, that team, had a lot of things that it was battling in terms of injuries, like the Evan Krasinski and so forth. But really, a lot of that year we hit pretty well. Just going off memory without looking up any type of numbers, but I think I saw a statistic on social media somewhere this week. I mean, just our team batting average at the beginning of the week, and now for a big part of the week, we did some good things, especially in the games against Elon and the first two against VCU, to raise that team batting average. I think going into today's game, it was right there just shy of 270, but it was down in the, I want to say maybe upper 250s or low 260s at the beginning of the week, and that was the lowest at this point in the season in quite some time.
Yeah. Well, it'll continue to climb. I mean, like you mentioned, the two midweek games, which improved the batting average coming to this weekend. Bubba, you want to recap those two midweek games real fast against Wilmington and Elon before we get into this weekend series?
Yeah, we'll take a look at that game Tuesday down at UNC Wilmington at Brooks Field. All zeros for both teams through the first 5 innings, and the Pirates just had one hit. Then I think each team scratched out one in the sixth, and it remained 1-1 until the seventh, when the top of the eighth, when the Pirates were able to capitalize on a couple of Seahawks errors combined with one ECU hit to push across 2 runs, and that's all that was needed. As the Pirates won 3-1. You had an excellent start. He wasn't going to go deep into the game, but Ryder Giles went 3+ innings, really gave you an excellent start to that game. And like I said, it remained 0-0 into the 6th inning. But the pitching was the story of that game. I think combined between the two teams, I think East Carolina had 5 hits, UNC Wilmington had 4, and it was nice to get a win down at Brooks Field, because you think back 2020, the game, last game rather that the Pirates played before the shutdown was at Brooks Field, and the Seahawks walked it off against us. And then last year we lost down there. So that was the first time in at least 3 trips to UNC Wilmington that we've been victorious.
It's always good to beat the Seahawks. It's a rivalry going back to the CAA days, obviously, particularly in baseball. And, it used to be big in basketball, but it is maintained in baseball. We run into them in regionals, et cetera. So always good to go down and beat the Sea Squawks. And it was a much-needed win after losing 2 out of 3 to Charleston. And then we came home Wednesday, Bubba, and did battle with the Elon Phoenix, a traditionally good program, who now also plays in the Colonial.
Yeah, no doubt. That game with Elon, even though this is a series that the Pirates has largely dominated down through the years, much like Duke, that was a game, coming off a big win. This team hasn't handled success very well. So I was very interested to see how we handled it. And like Coach Godwin said after the game, we definitely didn't play our baseball nowhere close. We had 9 walks, 2 hit batters. So the pitching wasn't sharp. Fortunately, the offense did step up, unlike today. The offense pounded out 13 hits, and then we're able to do enough. I think you had a home run by Josh Moreland. I think you had 5 guys with 2 hits. You had Jacob Starling was one of those with 2 hits, including a home run. He had 2 home runs on the week. And we'll talk more about this later, but the emergence of Josh Moreland, we saw last year what he's capable of, but he had really struggled, to say the least. Only 3 hits and was batting something like 75 this year. Coach Godwin gave him the week off. He did not go with the team to the Old Dominion and College of Charleston series. He cleared his head, did whatever he needed to do to try to get himself right, and it certainly showed up this week. He had 5 hits, including 4 extra base hits, 2 home runs, 2 doubles, drove in 5 runs. He looked like the Josh Moreland of old, reaching base 7 out of 20 times. And like I said, not only was he hitting the ball and having quality at bats, a lot of extra base hits.
It's good to see, and an interesting move by Cliff to give him the week off. But sometimes with baseball, man, baseball's a different sport than football or basketball. I think baseball players are kind of all like kickers in football. You guys get in their heads, and you get to be superstition. You get to be a head case, and it's baseball's a team sport that has a lot of individual tendencies to it. With when a guy gets in his head, man, you can take a great player and he gets in a slump, and it just messes with you.
I think that could be true pretty much any sport, right, Matt? I mean, you have a tough out, you have a game where you don't play very well, and all of a sudden, I think it comes down to the one word that's coming up for me: confidence. Do you think some of the players maybe have lost confidence?
Yeah, and you're right, Dave. I mean, you do see that, especially in basketball. You'll see players go through a prolonged shooting slump. In this case here, looking at Moylan, obviously he started off just wasn't able to get things going for whatever reason. So I like the move by Cliff to give him some time away. It's good to get away a little bit and just like Kyle was saying, these guys can really get in their own heads. So just to calm things down in your head and step away and just get back to playing your game. So you really hope in order for this team to make a run, a serious run, Moylan's going to have to really step up here for the rest of the year. And, he's going to have to find that consistency, that kind of brought him to this point.
Yeah. And to me, when you talk about making a run, Matt, I think of that show, Mad TV with the skit, Lowered Expectations, which to me right now, when I talk about making a run, I just want us to make a regional at this point, just be a nice, secure regional team. Because I think, for all intents and purposes, unless something crazy happens, you can throw hosting out the window. But yeah, you're right. To make a run, to win the conference, which I think is still a very realistic goal, you're going to need Moylan to be a big part of that.
And Mark Calloway chimes in as always on this time on YouTube, saying, "Are we throwing too many pitchers in game?" And I really don't think so. I think a lot of it boils down to what we were talking about earlier on, Mark, as far as Garrett Saylor, CJ Mayhew, and Carter Spivey. Those have been the 3 most consistent arms out of the bullpen. And in these midweek games, especially a week like last week where you have 2 midweek games and you have a 5-game week, then you just played on Tuesday night down at UNC Wilmington. Fortunately, you were able to take care of business in that game. But in that game against Elon, the Pirates threw 9 pitchers. And one of the performances that I wanted to highlight, not a bad start by Danny Bill from what I recall, but the performance that really stood out, how about Zach Agnos? An inning and 2/3, and all 5 of those outs he recorded were via strikeout. He came in, was up to 93 on multiple occasions. And, last year he was more 88, 89. And, he was 92, 93 consistently this week. So that's awesome to see. And, very much like his brother, he has a demeanor about him on the mound. You see him when he's playing second or shortstop or third base, when he's not pitching, or even when he's batting. And a lot of times he'll be smiling, but on the mound is a little bit more of a serious demeanor. And I liked him in that situation, in that tight ball game against Elon, because he came in a situation, the bases were loaded. He walked a guy, so he walked the run in, struck the next guy out. So he didn't dwell on what had happened, and that's very unsurprising, given Zach Agnow's demeanor.
Like Coach Ruff used to say, play the next play. When it's you can let that you can let a snowball walk one guy in, walk another guy in, on and on, or you can go strike the next guy out. And that's what Zach did. So good for him. And we carried that positive momentum against Elon, Bubba, into this weekend against VCU. And God Almighty, bugs me we didn't get this sweep. That seems to be the case. When you look at our record, you go back to the Bryan series because we had just taken 2 from them. You go down to Charleston because we had just won 1 more. It took the series 2 games to 3. And now this one, God Almighty, because we had just got the sweep. We're really not that far away record-wise from being where we would want to be.
Yeah. In that game on Friday, the Pirates were victorious 8-2, out-hit the Rams 11-8. And it was really you got a decent start from Cooch. He didn't have his best stuff, but he did pick up the win. 5 innings, 2 runs, 1 earned run on 7 hits. Did throw 88 pitches in those 5 innings, so that's why he couldn't really go deeper into that ball game. And you look at it, leading 1-0 in the bottom of the third. The Pirates exploded for 5 runs, and that was obviously all they would need, is they would just give up 2 on the night.
Yeah, and good always to win Friday night. You always, as the home team, stand a really good chance of winning your series if you take care of business on Friday night.
And then out of the bullpen, I talked about Jake Kuchmaner going 5 innings. Garrett Saylor was excellent, 2 shutout innings. Skylar Brooks pitched well. Danny Bill worked 2/3 of an inning. And then Merritt Beaker came in. He did issue a couple of free passes, but then Trey Savage, a guy who throws really hard but had struggled with his command early in the season against Campbell. He saw his first mound time, it seems like, in quite some time, or at least in a significant or not so much a significant situation, because the Pirates did have a larger lead. But Savage did come in and pick up the save. He was granted a save. I thought it had to be within 4 runs, but it must be 6, because he did, unless it was a mistake, get awarded a save for that, a third of an inning where he came in and struck out the final batter.
Did we go? I know we did today, Bubba, but Friday night. I was halfway distracted when I was watching the game. Did we go back to back home runs Friday night also? I know we did today, or was I imagining that?
I believe we did. Josh Moreland and Jacob Starling.
Okay, yeah, I thought we did. I was distracted when I was watching it, and I kind of was walking in and out of the room. And I was like, "Now, is this a replay, or did this dude just go yard 2?"
Yeah, and, I'm trying to remember what inning.
Middle innings.
Yeah.
And then today, of course, we went back to back, and that was all we did. That's irritating. And by the way, this is something that I've noticed with Cliff Godwin teams, and maybe it's just baseball in general at the college level. And God Almighty, I'm not criticizing Cliff Godwin teams because they wasn't most of baseball, but it seems like we hit the most solo home runs. Can we get some home people on base, please?
Yeah. Now I think back to just kind of a random thought here, and this is more not even so much the solo home runs, but just this is something that has certainly not been the case in this era. But going back to the end of the Billy Godwin era, I don't know why that was a very random thought, but Appalachian was playing out at Arkansas Little Rock this weekend, and they won a game. I guess it was, I'm trying to remember if it was Friday or Saturday. but they won a game in which they were out hit 16-9, and I think it was maybe a 14-inning game, but still, Arkansas Little Rock only had 2 runs on 16 hits, and it just made me.
Bubba, you there?
Yeah, I think
We lost Bubba.
yeah. Well,
Hello.
Yeah, you there? You go. You back. Go ahead.
Okay, but my point is that just Arkansas Little Rock scored 2 runs on 16 hits, and in the end of the Billy Godwin era. And I'll get off of this tangent, but we struggled to have any type of power at the plate. We'd have 1 run on 10 hits, 2 runs on 12 hits, because we'd have 2 singles with 2 outs, and would not hit for any power. But back to the matter at hand, and in that game, it was great to see Josh Moreland and also Jacob Starling, who was coming off a injury that really set him back. It was something that he thought he was going to be out, more like a month and a half as far as his recovery, and it was much longer than that. So it was great to see him have some quality at bats and hit a couple out of the out of the ballpark.
Isn't a starling a type of bird? No? Anybody? No? Okay.
I believe you're correct on that, Kyle. Don't quote me. I'm not a birder, but it does sound familiar.
All right.
Yeah, Craig, we're certainly trending in the right direction. A frustrating loss today, but we'll take 4-1 all day long.
Yeah, well, yes, we did go 4-1, Craig. I'm just talking overall this year, man. We, with the preseason expectations, top 12 baseball team, we're not where we thought we'd be. But yeah, 4-1. But nothing to sneeze at. If we do, hey, I tell you what, Craig, if we do that the rest of the year, we'll be in good shape.
No question. I'm just disappointed. I thought for sure that Matt had some bird feeders at his house and watching the birds, like we're talking about the starling. So.
And Dave, Josh O'Neill chimed in asking if we had talked about the day that Alec Burleson had for the St. Louis Cardinals, getting hits off of Scherzer as well as DeGrom. No, we have not, but we'll touch more on everything that Burley has going on here in a little bit, Josh.
And boy, do we miss him. Burleson, man, pitching. The guy could do it all.
Is opening day going to still be when it was supposed to be, or have they moved it?
I think they pushed it. Was it in May?
I'll think
I'll
so.
confirm that, but it got pushed back at least a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely
the thing about Burleson too, guys. The thing I miss about Burleson is he brought such a fire to the team. That guy is such a competitor. I used to love watching him out there. He'd be, you could see he was just in the game. He was always competing. The times when he would pitch, he would bring a fire to the mound.
Yeah.
I do think the team misses that, and you wonder, who's the guy this year that's going to kind of step up and bring that type of leadership and that kind of fire.
It says Thursday, April 7th. Is that still accurate for opening day?
That was the original opening day.
Yeah, that sounds like the original date.
Yeah, I can't remember. They pushed it back. I don't know the exact date on that, but
no, it says every MLB team either opens on April 7th or April 8th. This was one day ago.
Okay.
Well, that would be great if that's the case. Matt, you're exactly right. I know you and Kyle have said it in different ways, but the passion's probably there, but certainly with baseball, I know when people talk about command, I know in football, when we talk about the team having swagger, I guess baseball, you still can't, but that's the thing, is the swagger is just not there right now. And I think one of the things is you talk about the identity of the team. I think that's what they're trying to find right now, is the identity of the team. And it's we're here in April almost, and you start conference play on Friday in Cincinnati. So hopefully what we can do is we beat NC State. You go 4-0 this week. You're off to a great start for the month of April.
Yeah, you go 4-0 this week. If you beat NC State, take 3 from Cincinnati. That's beating your arch rival and opening up conference play with a sweep. Yeah, that'd be a hell of a week.
The question is, can we do that?
Good question. We'll find out.
I think really when you watch this team, it's going to come down to consistency. How consistent can we be at the plate? It seems like everything is very choppy. We'll have a great inning, and then the bats go quiet for 2 or 3 innings. I think it's all going to come down to consistency. I think they can definitely. This would be a hell of a week to go on a run, though, fellas, where we can win, 4 more games and pull ourselves well ahead of 500 here. This would be the week to do it.
Oh, no doubt. You get a chance to beat NC State and sweep conference play to start the season. The Bearcats, that would be an amazing week. Bubba, do we want to finish breaking down these other 2 games of the weekend series?
Yeah, moving on to Saturday's game, 7-5 final. It was a game kind of like Friday night, and Pirates led 7-2, and then you had Ryder Giles getting his second start of the week, very unusual, but Ryder pitched very well again, and he was our pitcher of the week, guys, our PGXGloves.com pitcher of the week. Tremendous week for Ryder Giles, and we talked about his effort down at UNC Wilmington, and then he worked, I think, 4 shutout innings, or 4 1/3, something like that, against VCU. So for the week, Ryder was 7 1/3 shutout innings and allowed just 4 hits in those 7 1/3 innings. So congratulations to Ryder Giles, and we've really needed him to emerge. And he is not allowed to run all season, guys. I can't remember how many innings he's worked now. Something like maybe it's 13, 14, somewhere in that range, maybe slightly more than that. But Ryder has not allowed to run all season.
Do you move him to Friday night at some point, Bubba?
I don't think you're going to see that. I think I know that may be semi tongue in cheek, but I guess you can never say never. But I would be surprised. I was kind of surprised when we saw it on Saturday. I thought you'd see Groves on Saturday, but obviously he pitched very well today.
Yeah,
no question. And Ryder is by far one of the best shortstops we've had in such a long time, and I think you have to have him on, right, Bubba? I mean, you want to have him for the defensive part of things, certainly.
Yeah.
At short, and not that you don't want him as a pitcher. He's doing a great job, but I think when you of the 2, you definitely need him more at shortstop. That's just my.
Yeah, no doubt, and because I know there's been a time here after that game on Tuesday, Cliff was talking about that and that very thing in the post game, just how he had a little bit of soreness. He probably could have gone, but since he told him that he did the safe thing and set him out and let him rest his arm after having thrown, I think it's something like 52 pitches against UNC Wilmington on Tuesday night. But yeah, you're definitely going to need to see Ryder factoring into the equation as shortstop moving forward. But when he hasn't played there, Zach's done well, and you've also been able to see Joey Barini or Jacob Starling play pretty well at second base.
Yeah, and that's the thing, guys, is that when you talk about with the Pirates, next guy up, and I think that it was mentioned earlier, one of the comments was about how many players. I think that's one of the things that Cliff Godwin does a great job is playing a lot of players, and I think that's going to be big time this year, especially going down the stretch. You look at I was looking at the schedule just now, guys, and obviously not to get too ahead of ourselves, but the Pirates have the last 8 games of the conference and games period are at home right before the tournament. So if you can find some way to hang in there, and then with that big homestand, 8 games is a lot of games right before the tournament. Maybe you can find
Wow.
put together a run there.
Dave, that's a great catch. I mean, that's I'm sorry, Kyle. I didn't mean to cut you off there. But that's a great catch, and that the ability to have 8 games at home, that's a huge opportunity there. I mean, if we can be in a position, a nice position coming into that stretch, I mean, that's the type of thing that could really propel you forward. So, absolutely, that's a huge point, and certainly something I'm sure Cliff Godwin is very fortunate to have on the schedule.
Yeah, in any way you look at it, if we're a bubble team at that point, then you really think we'll have those 8 games at home. If you're trying to win a conference, you're really thankful to have those 8 games at home. And if we get red hot and somehow we're in a position to try to get into hosting, you're really glad to have those 8 games at home in the season. So no matter how things play out, it's positive to have those 8 to close the season at home.
No
Bubba, we have one more game in the series today. Against the Rams, and got a hell of a start from our pitcher, but the game just didn't go our way.
Yeah, Josh Groves was excellent today. Cliff said he felt like he left him in just a little bit too long. Shouldn't have let him start the 7th inning when he walked the leadoff guy. But at the same time, the bullpen has to find a way to get it done. And then, like we discussed earlier, offensively, you did not have any hits in the first 2 innings, and then you had home runs. I believe it may have been back to back. You had Carter Cunningham in the 9 hole hit a bomb. That was nice to see, and then you had Bryson Wool lead off, hit a bomb that got out in a hurry. And then maybe one more hit in that inning, and then the Pirates went 4 or 5 innings without a hit. And so, like Cliff said, and just like you saw last night, we needed every run we had when we were up 7-2, and then they hit that 3-run bomb in the top of the 9th.
Yeah, and it's so funny. It just goes to show you, we were up 2-0. And it was still 2-0. And Coach Overton, we were at bat, and hadn't even gotten the situation where they cut it to a run. And Coach Overton goes, "We're going to need more runs to win this ball game. We're not going to win this game 2-0." And lo and behold, he nailed it. It's amazing how Coach O can just sit there with a 2-0 lead, and and feel that we're not going to win this game up 2-0, that we're going to need more runs. And boy, he said it, and that's exactly what happened.
So are you blaming the loss on Coach O?
No, absolutely not. I don't think he jinxed anything. In fact, I always go the other way, Dave. If he'd have said, "Oh, we got this game wrapped up 2-0," then I'd have blamed it on him. But no, he called it. He just goes to show how well he can feel the game and just sense things, and he was exactly right.
And Coach O, man, is such a legend, and I mean, I can't imagine it's no telling how many baseball games that man has seen. And I was just talking today, I thought Scott Rogers did a great job on the broadcast. If you guys heard it, where he was talking to Coach O, people don't realize how much Dr. Gary Overton does for ECU. I know the guys on this show and maybe the folks that are watching live now, but he is just an unbelievable guy, very smart guy, as Josh O'Neill, our good friend, is saying he's brilliant. You're absolutely right, Josh. He's a guy that does a lot for the Pirates, and God forbid, I hope he never retires, because we need him in many different ways. And then to have him on the broadcast is just so amazing. The guy has done so much for ECU, Hall of Famer, and rightfully so there. And tomorrow night, guys, I'm going to the Harlem Globetrotters are taking the kids, and you'll see Dr. Gary Overton, for special events. You see him for a lot of the games, but I appreciate all he does for the Pirates.
And that's the reason you mentioned the Harlem Globetrotters being in Minges. That is the reason that Coach O was unable to join us this evening, and he will join us next week to recap the NC State game as well as the conference opening series against Cincinnati. So look forward to, as always, catching up with Coach O next week.
Yeah, and good to see Globetrotters coming to town. I would love to see one time we were having more concerts and wrestling and things like that at Minji's, and would like to see that again. Us utilize that arena more often. And part of it, I don't know how much we market it to rent out to promoters outside. ECU actually promoting things himself, but it would be nice to see more events come to Minji's on a regular basis. Now that we can serve, I think a lot of stuff didn't do well there because we couldn't serve alcohol at the time, and now we can. And really, and I know part of it's COVID, but now that we can serve alcohol, there's really not a concert venue, an entertainment venue for a consistent basis east of Raleigh, and it would really be nice to see Minji's become that and have events there throughout the year several times.
What about Fayetteville?
Well, okay, now you're looking at semantics when you say east of Raleigh. Okay, yeah, technically Fayetteville's east of Raleigh, so is Wilmington. But as far as eastern North Carolina goes, Fayetteville and Wilmington are not eastern North Carolina, not what we consider eastern North Carolina. So, hey, by the way, speaking of that, Dave, this is totally off subject, but did you see Wilmington now has a legit amphitheater with a full summer concert schedule?
Yeah, they did. Live Nation actually owns that.
Yep.
And they're doing a great job with that. And I had a question for you, Kyle, and we'll get back to baseball. I promise for those watching baseball. How many do you think that AEW would ever come to Greenville? WWE has come.
I'll tell you what, and that's interesting. I think if they ever start doing a house show tour, they'd come to Greenville. Right now, they're doing very limited house shows, and it's mainly just TV tapings.
Right.
They're not going to ever bring a TV taping to Greenville. I think at some point they'll start doing house shows. And I think just Tony Khan being Tony Khan and East Carolina being Vince McMahon's alma mater, I'd be willing to bet whenever they do house shows, they'll come to Greenville.
No question. That'll be fun to see that. And it'd be great to have WWE back for sure. It's been, how long has it been? It was definitely pre-COVID, 3-4 years.
It's been a while. They got too damn expensive on their tickets. That was the problem. I remember the first time in recent history, and I think it was 12 or 13, they came to Greenville and you could get front row for $80. And then the last couple of times it's been over $100 to get, the first few rows ringside. And it's just not worth it. So, to me, $80 is right around, that's the high water mark for me that I want to pay. And, it is what it is, but I still would like to see anything. I'd love to see, and then we'll get back to baseball. I'd love to see a concert series somewhere in Greenville like Wilmington has now. Like Raleigh has with Red Hat, where you have those mid-level acts coming on a regular basis. Anyway, we'll get back to baseball now.
All right, let's do that. I know Bubba with a busy week for the Pirates is a huge game on Tuesday night, and I know Cliff Godwin had thanked the fans, but Tuesday night is such a big game for many, many reasons.
Yeah, it's certainly an opportunity to add a quality win to your resume. NC State's had a season, guys, is very much like ours as far as not necessarily the record that you would expect at this point, a little bit better than the Pirates. They did start 8-0, which was different. But since then, they are 7-8, so they're 15-8 overall. They got swept by Northeastern at Doak Field, and Northeastern's always a solid club out of the CAA. But then they lost a game to Weather to Notre Dame, and they lost the other two that they were able to play against them. And I think they dropped 2 out of 3, maybe down in Tallahassee to the Seminoles. But this week, I want to say this series was being played at Doak Field. They swept Georgia Tech, winning a couple of, maybe a 2-run game or 1-run game, and then today they won 6-1. So, but as far as this series, hey, this is the first time we've played NC State in quite some time, and just off the top of my head, is this the first time we played NC State? I guess since the regional, since we beat them in the regional on that
2019.
Yep, since we beat them in the regional. So it's glad to see Cliff Godwin and Elliot Avent. And Cliff said that they sat down in Coach Avent's office when Cliff was up in the Raleigh area for something, and kind of hash things out. And it's great to see that they're on the same page. And this is a series that we're going to see home and away hopefully for the foreseeable future.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's just like with anything, football, basketball, baseball, NC State, ECU needs to be playing each other. In this particular case with baseball, it needs to be every single year. And I think that I think there's no question that the fans will be there if it's Raleigh, Greenville, if it's a neutral site, whatever the case may be. In fact, I would love to see that. I'd love to see.
Well, we were going to do that, Dave. There was a neutral site game with NC State scheduled for Kinston in 2020, and we had all gotten tickets, and it got canceled. Remember?
No, that was going to be
for your birthday.
No, that was
Wilmington.
That one? Yeah.
Okay. In my head, it was NC State. Well, hell, okay, let's play NC State in Kinston then.
Like Dave's saying, we were doing the same thing, something similar to what we did with North Carolina, and we'll continue to do with North Carolina. That was great as well. You know, that's something that Scott Forbes told Cliff as soon as he got the job. Hey, as long as I'm the coach here, then the 3-game traveling series will be a thing.
It sounds great. And can we go back really quick? Our good friend Alan Vig talked about the concerts at Minges. He said the problem with Minges for a concert is the acoustics would really have to be worked on. It's a good venue for the athletic event. But the way things are arranged in there, it's really tough on acoustics as far as getting quality sound in that building.
I've heard people say that, but I'm gonna argue with that a little bit. And I don't know from a tech standpoint and from a roadie standpoint, you know, I don't know how much work they have to do to set it up to make it sound good. But I've been to several concerts there, and I'll tell you, a couple of them sounded really good. We saw Travis Tritt there, which was horribly promoted back in 2016 and 15 or 16. It was horribly promoted. I might have been one of about maybe 1,000 people there. It sounded fantastic. And I saw Turks Bentley there way back in 08 or 09, and it sounded great. But I have been to other shows there, Alan, like Lee Bryce. Maybe that was in 15 or 14, and the sound was terrible. So I don't know if it's just if you have good techs and good roadies, they can make it sound good, because I have experienced that. And then I've experienced it where it sounded great.
Well, I'll tell you what you do is you call Pete Benson of Guitars, etc. He's the guy helping me with the sound of shows coming up, and he is out of Havelock, and he's the guy that does a lot of shows all over the Eastern Seaboard. And I'll put my money up for him. He's fantastic. He and his great staff. So I think you're right, Kyle. I think that part of the problem is you're only good as the sound man, as they say. And I think Pete is one of those guys. Not that Pete's only one, but he's one of the best in our area.
I think one of the biggest issues was you couldn't sell alcohol there. And I'd love to see now a well-promoted show how it would do now that you can buy alcohol. And I think sometimes, you know, you're going to have somebody willing to lose money. But sometimes it's just repetitiveness, people getting used to there being concerts somewhere for people to start coming. And, you know, so many people are used to going to Raleigh for their concerts. And, you know, I'd love, and we'll get off this, but I'd love to see them do something unique, somebody that has their own fan base. You know, Cody Jinks is a guy who has a fan base that travels. He's not a mainstream artist. A band like Fish, their fans are going to come everywhere. Yeah. Something like that would probably be a good idea for Minges.
And a quick, I'm going to promote our next show is going to be at the State Theater in Greenville. We'll have a Journey tribute band called Trial by Fire at Charlotte. In fact, the lead singer, Ernie Shepard, will be on our show in a couple weeks, but definitely come out there. And we had a great time.
What's the date of that, Dave? You didn't tell the date.
Saturday, April the 16th. So
where can you get those tickets, Dave?
StateTheaterNC.com. You can go there, and love to have everybody there. We'll have this, obviously the spring football game is April 9th, but it'll be after one Saturday after that. So on the 16th, and love to have you guys out there. And
they got 3 straight weekends. You got Pirate Fest, and you got the spring football game, and then you got Trial by Fire at State Theater. So 3 straight weeks, something to do with Greenville. If I'm not mistaken, guys, are they doing Pirate Fest and the spring football game on separate weekends again?
No, it's the same weekend.
Same weekend. Okay, same weekend.
And thank you, Johnny Robertson. Yes, thank you, John. Johnny's coming to the concert. So, Johnny, I'll finally get to meet you in person. That's going to be awesome. And I don't think Matt's going to make the trip from Connecticut down. I wish he would.
You like Coach Houston? Coach Houston's a huge Journey fan. And is he aware that the tribute band is going to be in town?
He is aware, and we'll see if he comes. So he is.
Dave, I wish I could go. I wish I could go, my friend. It's a little too far of a trip, but hopefully one of these days soon I can get there.
All right.
That'll be Easter weekend, guys. If you're going to be in town Easter weekend, if you're looking for something to do, maybe you're visiting the family, coming back down east for Easter, something to do Saturday night before you get up and go to Easter service Sunday morning with a hangover.
Only you, Kyle. Only you, Kyle.
Hey, if you're going to a Journey tribute band concert at a small theater that serves alcohol, there's going to be plenty of folks with hangovers.
Hey, Bubba, let's get back to baseball. And I know that's
getting back to baseball, but not specifically this season, just East Carolina baseball in general. Coach O, obviously, we were talking about, how much we enjoy talking East Carolina baseball with Coach here just a little while ago. But Alan Vick, during that segment of the show, chimed in saying if college athletics had about 100 more Gary Overtons, it would certainly be a better place.
No doubt.
And
we can all agree with that.
And Coach O, not only East Carolina's all-time winningest coach, as Josh said, 427 wins as head coach, taking over for Hal Baird. When Hal Baird went to Auburn following the 1984 season, Coach O, tremendous run from 85 to 97. Also, professor, obviously Dr. Gary Overton, as you've heard. Anybody that follows East Carolina athletics has heard him called Dr. Gary Overton. And obviously, I guess probably.
That's it true, Bubba? And I'll ask him, by the way, Bubba's leading into probably the announcement here in a minute, so I'll let him make it. But Bubba, is it true that Dr. Gary Overton is the doctor of thugonomics? Is that true?
Now, Coach, I didn't hear part of what you said, but I know it wasn't serious.
Coach Overton's the doctor of thugonomics.
Oh. So, Coach O. But Coach O has been, he has been a regional site supervisor for the NCAA tournament and the road to Omaha for probably 20 plus years now. And so that's something that he obviously, as much as he likes to, or would like to be in Greenville for the Pirates hosting, he does that for the regionals and super regionals. And that just speaks to, in addition to him, remember he was the chairman of the committee, much like Terry Holland was chairman of the basketball selection committee for the tournament. Gary Overton did that for at least one, if not multiple seasons. He's on the committee for multiple seasons, but was the chair of it for at least one, if not multiple years as well.
Yeah, very respected nationally throughout the game of college baseball. And to continue the Coach Gary Overton Love Fest, he will be with us next weekend on Extra Innings, Bubba.
And he will. And next weekend, we've talked about State coming to town on Tuesday. Pirates and the Wolfpack playing for the first time in quite some time. Next weekend, Pirates are traveling up to Cincinnati and taking on the Bearcats. The Bearcats are 8-9, and I think they dropped a couple games to crosstown rival Xavier over the weekend. I believe they're actually kind of a weird deal. They turn around, they play Xavier on Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
Well, got a chance to even things up, I guess.
But I know we talked earlier about the results around the American, what some of the teams have done. Again, South Florida 17-7 overall, and they swept Niagara over the weekend. But like I said, the Bulls, although a quality club, has had a pretty soft schedule relative to what the Pirates have played, as well as some of the other teams around the league. Houston 16-8. They took 2 out of 3 from Western Carolina. Tulane took 2 out of 3 from Dayton and the Green Wave. And play-by-play voice Corey Glore are off to a 16-8-1 start. Memphis, very soft schedule. They dropped 2 out of 3, I think, over the weekend. I'm trying to recall who they were playing, but they're 12-8 now. UCF dropped 2 out of 3 to Samford, but the Knights did win 12-1 today. And as you know, Samford's always a NCAA caliber club out of the Southern Conference, and the Knights are 14-10. And Pirates are, of course, 14-11. Wichita State 11-12, dropping 2 out of 3 over the weekend to Creighton. They did beat Kansas during the midweek. And then, like I said, I think I misspoke. I said Cincinnati was 8-9. That was maybe last week, but Cincinnati is 9-12 now after dropping those games to Xavier over the weekend. And then something else from social media that I wanted to show. Pirates obviously always have excellent attendance at Clark-LeClair, but very good over the weekend. And Cliff Godwin gave a shout out to Pirate Nation saying, "Thanks, Pirate Nation, for the great crowds this weekend. Please keep coming out, being loud, and supporting the boys. We will get better, I promise. Go Pirates." And that just, guys, I mean, like we were saying, like Craig chimed in with when Kyle was making some points about some areas where this team has had shortcomings thus far through 25 games. That just shows you how high the standards are for this program, that you go 4-1, but you lose a game today where you felt like you should have won it. And, Cliff Godwin is apologizing to the fans and talking about how we're going to get better. So that's the reason Pirate baseball is as good as it is, or one of the reasons, because, such high standards. And, when we do not play up to those standards, even if we have a quality 4-1 week, we're not content. We're not happy.
If you don't expect to win, you're not going to win. And that's kind of been one of our problems in basketball over the year. In football and baseball, we have tradition, we have history, and we expect to win, and we demand it. And so you're right, Bubba, that expectation that we have for our baseball program, and Cliff, keeps that expectation as high as possible because, he's been here, done that. He played here under arguably the best era in East Carolina baseball under Coach LeClair. So Cliff's always going to keep that standard high.
No doubt about it. And we'll see how things go with Coach Schwartz as he's here now. And in fact, Johnny asked him any news on the coach start leading the hoops program. I know that there is good news, Bubba, with I know you said that Tristan Newton will stay. His brother's coming. Who played?
Well,
that's still speculation, Dave. That is out there that Tristan Newton may be remaining a Pirate, but we shall see. And then his brother, Jawan Newton, who has 1 year of eligibility remaining, it has in fact entered the transfer portal from Evansville. We'll see whether he chooses East Carolina or somewhere else, and we'll see whether Tristan Newton remains with East Carolina or chooses to play his final couple seasons somewhere else. But some things that we do know definitively on the basketball front, Riley Davis, good first name there. Riley Davis, a guy that has roots to Rick Barnes, both at Tennessee and Texas. Most recently, he spent a season or a few out at UT Arlington in the Sun Belt as part of that staff as an associate head coach or assistant head coach. So seems like a quality hire there, and somebody that obviously Coach Schwartz is very familiar with, being part of that Rick Barnes tree. And then I know Coach Schwartz, and give Stephen Igo and Hoist the Colors credit here. Stephen said that Coach Schwartz will be up in Chicago, or at least the greater Chicago area. I think it's either tomorrow or Tuesday. I believe it's Tuesday, to see a 2022 point guard prospect, and that is, I believe it's Devontae Hall. He also has an offer from Southern Illinois, and is someone that Coach Schwartz was already recruiting for Tennessee. I don't know, it may have been a fallback option, but he was getting recruited in whatever capacity, wherever he fell on the Vols board, recruiting wise, he was getting recruited to some degree to Tennessee. And I'll put his film out on our social media accounts. He has about 20 minutes worth of highlights, and I watched 3 or 4 minutes of it so far, and I was pretty impressed with what I saw. Not as tall as Mike Cook. You'll remember who played in the Bill Herrion years, ended up transferring to Pittsburgh, but really like what I saw out of Devontae, and I think he'd be an excellent addition. So we'll see if Coach Schwartz pulls the trigger on an offer and makes that happen.
Well,
Yeah,
you
guys.
remember the last guy named Riley. Schwartz was recruiting this guy already, so it really doesn't transition properly. But when Lincoln and Ruffin came here, there was a guy that Lincoln Riley was recruiting in quarterback as a fallback option for Texas Tech by the name of Shane Carden that Texas Tech hadn't offered, and we offered him right away, and that worked out pretty well. So maybe the same thing we got with this point guard.
No doubt. You certainly cannot go by an offer list. I mean, look at Chris Johnson's offer list when we landed him back in the John. Yeah, I mean his offer list. I mean, there's so many examples. You definitely cannot go by that. Like you said with Shane, I think his offers were maybe like from Stephen F. Austin or somebody like that. And then you also had Harvard. So that was an indication of not only his ability as a quarterback, but obviously a very intelligent guy as well.
Yeah, and guys, I mean, what better example? I mean, take a look at St. Peter's in basketball. How many of those guys were 4 and 5 recruits? You can't always tell by the offer list, and I think that's really when you look at the level of basketball we're playing. That's what can really separate an average coach from a great coach: the ability to evaluate talent and to go out and find the diamond in the rough. And, we might have to do some things that are a little unorthodox here. But, I think hopefully, Coach Schwartz has that ability. I'm sure he does. I mean, you don't get to this far in your career without having that ability to evaluate talent. But that's going to be vital for his success here. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, too, is, Bubba, you and I talked about a few weeks ago on the show, first order of business had to be to really reach out to Tristan Newton and try to keep him at East Carolina. And, you got to give credit right now to Coach Schwartz. We don't know exactly what's going to happen here. It's a lot of speculation, but it does appear that there's a very good chance, at least based off of the rumors, that, he has a chance to keep Tristan in Greenville. And, I love the idea of, obviously when Coach Dooley, he was recruiting Tristan's brother from Evansville, and now Schwartz honors that and maintains that recruitment, which I think is really important in terms of establishing trust and respect from your current players. So hopefully that all works out. You have to find a way to keep it down. That could propel him to a very good first year. And like I've been saying, if Tristan leaves, you're looking at a total rebuild, and that's not what anybody wants, obviously. So hopefully that works out.
How good's his brother at Evansville? What kind of numbers did he put up?
I know he averaged about 13 a game.
Yes, that is correct, Matt. I think he averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, somewhere along those lines. And I think he was the Purple Aces' second leading scorer.
Are they Missouri Valley, Ohio Valley, or Horizon League?
That is Missouri Valley.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see, and hopefully we can get, as we've said along, we'll see a commitment to the program. I know there's a lot of great stuff going on as far as behind the scenes. We'll see about an indoor practice facility. We're even hearing that a lot of the money has been raised for the practice facility. That is great news if that is true. And then of course,
anyway.
Right? Yeah, there's a difference between actually give commitment and actually donating. We'll see about that, but I would imagine.
Did you guys see the? And I didn't really like some of the comments on this. Did you guys see Georgia Southern's new? I won't call it an indoor practice facility, but covered practice facility.
They have the same kind of deal that UAB does, where they have.
I think it's more of a bubble, isn't it?
I'll double check on that, unless something's changed with UABs. I believe it basically kind of looks like a big carport.
Exactly. I thought some of the comments got a little out of hand, making fun of it. I'd love to. One thing I do wonder what the point is. If you can't practice in lightning, I guess it'll keep you dry. But I know some of the comments got a little out of hand. I'm sure if Georgia Southern could afford to, they'd build something nicer.
Yeah. What?
I have to agree. It was interesting to read the comments. One of them made me laugh. How there was one guy who said that it reminded him of the pavilion at his local park where he just had his 7-year-old's birthday party.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, you think you're going to invest all that money into a facility. How do you not have walls? How do you not find a way to enclose that facility? It does seem a little odd, but I guess something is better than nothing. And obviously, Georgia Southern doesn't have money to throw around ACC conference school or a Big Ten conference school. So, you're kind of forced to spend what you have.
No,
yeah, I'm like you, Matt, because this was back. Shoot, this is 20 years ago, and it was not a full length field, but Tusculum, Division II school over in Greenville, Tennessee, not too awfully far from from Knoxville, but in that eastern part of Tennessee, Tusculum had an indoor practice facility. So, like you're saying, you would think that they'd been able to find a way to put some walls on it. But go ahead, and what was your point? And you had something else to say, Kyle, and then I had something I was going to chime in with.
No, it's just further on the Georgia Southern practice facility, and interesting that they chose to go that route, didn't put walls up, but maybe there's more to it than what we realize. I'm gonna go ahead and drop here. I got something I need to do real fast. You boys can do for me, so I'm gonna drop out, and it won't be so long in between shows. And this is getting really bad feedback right now. And we'll see y'all Tuesday night as we read the Wolfpack.
All right, Kyle. And Bubba, that audio was really tough there. But yeah, I'm hearing feedback on your end too. But anyway, we're definitely gonna have a lot of fun with certainly with extra innings and a lot of great content coming up, guys. Right, Bubba?
Yeah, and Dave, as you see there on the screen, is Hyde Park Academy. That's where Devontae Hall is, and Devontae Hall, and there you see how he can be found on social media. But in addition to East Carolina, Southern Illinois, as well as maybe some others, but encouraged with the film I saw of him, and you certainly think in the greater Chicago area, whether it's school ball or AAU basketball, you think he's playing against very quality competition. And that's something that Johnny Gardner and I were talking about this afternoon, how you would expect to not necessarily see guys flying under the radar as much, probably, as a general rule in that area, as opposed to like a Tristan Newton in El Paso.
No question about it. I mean, that's one of the hot spots, just like New York, Philly, Baltimore. There's certain cities, that are basketball cities. And Matt, it's going to be interesting to see about recruitment now. That's one of the things when you have a coaching change. How will that play out? We hope that it certainly we don't want to rebuild, as you were saying with Tristan. We want things to get better, and hopefully that's the case. As maybe we can have a winning season next year. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, not to harp too much on the Newton situation, but again, he's really, when you watch this team, he's really the only guy that can go out and create his own shot off of the dribble. He really is. Now, Vance Jackson showed that at times, but was a little inconsistent with it. Tristan is a guy that when things get tough, when you're in the half court and your offense breaks down, he can actually go and create a shot off the dribble. And, you worry about that because, if you don't have him, who's going to be able to do that for you? So, again, not to harp on the Newton situation, but it's just so important. And, the one thing I'll say is, the transfer portal right now is more alive than it's ever been. I mean, you see guys on a daily basis entering the portal. I think I read the other day that 3 guys from South Carolina entered the portal. I could be wrong about that. It was 2 or 3 guys, but if you're a coach, it's almost like Christmas morning. You wake up and you read up on the portal and you see all these guys out there, and what it does is it kind of, as a new coach, it allows you to get a quick jump start on building your program if you can land some of those key guys in the portal. So, hopefully that's the case. He's going to be working that portal 24/7. I really think it's going to be, when you're at East Carolina, you have to have success in the portal. I just don't see any other way to build a successful program here unless you can land 2 guys a year that are impact players.
Yeah, to your point, Matt, Coach Schwartz, I believe it was his interview with 94.3 The Game, Patrick Johnson in the Smith-Williams Center the other day for that media availability during his first, 24 to 48 hours in Greenville. He was talking about how, as of then, there were already somewhere between 700 and 800 guys, I think close to 800 in the portal, and that it would be interesting to see over these next several weeks, how much that shot up to over 1,000 plus.
Wow. I mean, that's a staggering number if you think about it, fellas. How much this impacts the game. And like I said, it's like Christmas morning.
Yeah.
If you're a coach, I mean, you wake up, you have an opportunity to recruit guys with experience, guys that are proven scorers at the collegiate level. Really, I mean, no excuses. You have to be able to go out and land 2 of those guys every single year at East Carolina. And, hopefully he's able to do that.
Well, and also, guys, the very fact of, we talk about it. I really believe that you can do the traditional it's kind of a hybrid, Matt. Now you have with the transfer portal, it's like free agency. So what you have to do is look at JUCO market. You have the transfer portal, but I also think that you have to be careful not to put everything into that. I think there's also the traditional route of high school players coming out. I do believe that there's a lot of quality guys, and there's a lot of quality guys in not only North Carolina, especially in Eastern North Carolina, that we could get, but all over the state. There's players all over the place, and hopefully we can keep some of those guys. And I tell you, I talk to some of the local coaches, in fact, one in particular all the time in Greenville, and they just want the East Carolina people to give them more love. They haven't seen that as much as they feel like they should. Maybe Coach Schwartz will be that guy that goes to Kinston, that goes to Greenville, all over there's so many great schools we could start naming, but that's what's been missing for the basketball, is that people just automatically assume that they're going to go to ACC schools when that's not always the case.
Dave, something else to think about, Matt, when we're talking about that, 750, 800 number, whatever it is right now, and it's likely to balloon up over 1,000, according to Coach Schwartz, who obviously has a good feel for things. You think about it, you have 351 Division I teams, something like that.
Yeah.
And then multiply that by 13 scholarships. So you have a little over 4,560 scholarships at the Division I level. And as of right now, it's like 16 or 17% of those in the portal. And then it's going to be somewhere between 20 and 25%. And then that's not even thinking about you. So you have essentially, 25% of the guys looking for a new home. And you think about the number of high school seniors that are trying to get Division I scholarships and how many fewer opportunities there are because of this.
Yeah, it's pretty staggering number, and it going back to what you were saying, Dave, I totally agree about it really has to be a combination. We have to continue to recruit well from the high schools. I think that's a huge thing. And it really has to be a combination of working that portal and recruiting from high school, I think. So I totally agree with you. And, I think one of the things that makes me optimistic about Schwartz is during his press conference, he talked a lot about how even though he was at Tennessee, he was recruiting North Carolina heavily. And he's familiar with a lot of the high schools. He's familiar with the coaches. He's familiar with Eastern North Carolina, which I think is great. And what that does is it just speeds up the process. He doesn't have to go out and just introduce himself to all these coaches. He has relationships in place, so hopefully he's able to tap into those quickly. And we've got to find a way to land high school players from the state of North Carolina. So hopefully that's something that that he can do.
No question about it. It's going to be fun to see how that all plays out, and hopefully we can get more things, including I've heard a holiday tournament. That's something that coaches want in the high school area at Williams Arena. I don't know, Bubba, you and I were talking about off air. I don't know if that's possible, but if it is, that's another way we can raise money for the basketball program. Certainly with our tip-off dinner that we want to do, charter every flight, make sure you have more money for the assistants, certainly more money for recruiting, more money for technology. There's so many great things that we can do. And so hopefully we can get that done and support Coach Schwartz. And now that John Gilbert has his man in, that I'm hoping to see more things for the basketball program, because I think football and baseball are certainly going to be okay. And a lot of the other non-revenue sports, we'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen for basketball. Bubba, do you have anything before we go? I know we got a lot of programming coming up, so we'll remind fans of that.
Yes, before I get to the upcoming programming, you talk about basketball. I talked about Riley Davis being on board. I don't think that's been officially released by ECUPirates.com, but Coach Davis has changed all of his stuff from UT Arlington to East Carolina on Twitter. So, outside of the official announcement, it seems pretty official. And then there's another coach, I'm trying to remember his name, is on the staff at Jacksonville State, who is a part of the NCAA tournament this year. Kind of a weird situation there where they did not win their conference tournament. They had Bellarmine. They actually won the tournament, but they were ineligible, excuse me. But because of that, Jacksonville State went over Jacksonville, who lost to Bellarmine in the championship game. So, but nonetheless, quality program there the last few years, winning about 20 games per year over the last 5 seasons, and he's been an integral part of that success. So if that hire is made as someone, once again, that Coach Schwartz, I'm trying to remember the tie, but it's someone that I'm pretty sure he had strong ties with in his past. And another name that you've heard mentioned is Brian Lentz. He has Lenore Ryan ties. His dad was a Hall of Fame coach there for nearly 30 years after having played for the Bears. And he's been with Rick Barnes for quite a while now. And so that would be probably another solid addition as well that has strong ties to the state of North Carolina and a recognizable name.
No question. Good luck to Coach with that. I'm really praying that, Bubba, you and I have been following basketball in East Carolina for a long time, like a lot of our listeners and viewers. So we pray that it all works out. And certainly I've been a fan since 1986. And the one program that we desperately need to do more of a commitment to is certainly would be basketball. So, and Bubba, do you have anything before we go, my friend?
As far as upcoming content, here in the next few days, we will hear from Brad Johnson, the Super Bowl winning quarterback with the Tampa Bay Bucks. We were going to do that here 2 or 3 weeks ago, but had some things going on where we couldn't make it happen. And he was nice enough to reschedule. So we'll enjoy that conversation with Brad Johnson. We're doing our best to get Shane Winkler, East Carolina softball. Wanted to mention the strong start through 31 games. They are 18-13. They've already surpassed last year's win total by 2. Last year, the Pirates were just 16-33 in the final season under Courtney Oliver, who's actually the pitching coach now for the University of Houston. So a lot of things to look forward to with the direction the softball program is headed under Shane Winkler. And the Pirates are, like I said, 18-13, 2-1 after taking 2 out of 3. They did fall 9-8 in the series opener at Memphis, but bounced back to win the series. So
All right.
look forward to hopefully being able to see some East Carolina softball in person before the year's over. And as far as other content, we'll have unfortunately, on a very sad note, former East Carolina wide receivers coach and also offensive coordinator from 2015, Dave Nickel, at the age of 45, passed away. He, from everything I'm hearing, it was liver cancer. He had been diagnosed in January of this year, and unfortunately, a very late diagnosis. And Coach Nickel passed away within the last 24 to 48 hours. And we're going to catch up with some of the East Carolina staff members as well as former players, guys like John Harward, who was a student assistant on that staff, Trip Weaver, who's currently the East Carolina safeties coach, and then also Andrew Bodenheimer, who was a receiver, during Coach Nickel's final year with the during Andrew's final year with the program. He was coached by Dave Nickel, but very sad situation there. And we'll put a video on our social media, something that Lincoln Riley and USC put out that documented Coach Nickel's time, not only at East Carolina, but also, at Washington State, Mississippi State, and obviously USC, as he had been brought to LA from Starkville.
All right, we're going to bring Matt back in. Sorry about that. Had to there's sometimes on a live show I had to step away for a second there. Matt, we're bringing you back in right before we get out of here. Do you have anything before we go, my friend?
Yeah. Sorry, guys. My phone cut out on me there. But really terrible news about Dave Nickel. I mean, that is at the age of 45, and it's a terrible loss, and obviously a late diagnosis. And, Dave Nickel's a class guy. I always enjoyed him here at East Carolina. I thought he did a great job, and, you just feel terrible for his family. I mean, at that age to have something happen like that. So condolences to his family. And just, obviously just very sorry to hear that terrible news.
And Dave, very quickly, we wanted to keep the main thing with Coach Nickel's passing. But I thought he did during his 1 year as offensive coordinator. He unjustifiably, in my opinion, and this is going to happen all the time, but, caught some flack. But I thought he did an excellent job in that 2015 season. How tough was that for him and the Pirates to lose Kurt Benkert right there?
Yeah.
The week of the first game against Towson. And then I thought he and the staff, the combination of Blake Kemp, who excellent kid and, had some quality games, but, his arm strength was a little below average. And, he did some great things with kind of marginal ability. But Blake Kemp and also James Summers, I thought on the whole, despite a couple of rough games, on the whole, kept the Pirates competitive, won 5, nearly won 8 or 9, near misses at Florida and also BYU. And
Cincinnati.
on the whole, I think did a good job of making lemonade, so to speak, as you like to say, out of that situation.
Oh my gosh. I mean, Matt, here's a guy that made the NFL, I think, back up to the Falcons. Benkert, and he played in the ACC and for Virginia. So, when people acted like, oh, we're rough, this or that, Basically, Ruff didn't have a Division I quarterback the entire 2015 season. I thought he and the staff did an excellent job of definitely. You talk about it being a pirate and weathering a storm, and that's one of the things that was so difficult about that year. Not to get off on a tangent, but that 2015 season was so coulda, shoulda, woulda. We didn't. But then you look at the circumstances of not having a great quarterback like Ben Kurt, who he wanted to be a Pirate, and it's just a shame that he was ran off, and and then we lose him to an ACC school. He does well, and then backup quarterback. I mean, the fact that you're good enough to be in the league, that says a lot, and you just don't know what would have happened if we'd had him. You feel like, Matt, I don't know about you guys, and then we'll get out of here, but you feel like that you would have had at least 7 wins or 8 wins with Ben Kurt. I mean, we'll never know, and I don't like to speculate, but I certainly think that game in Florida, we could have beat Florida in 2015. There's so many games you could, BYU, Cincinnati, that's 8 wins right there. So I felt like that's what I hate about sports. Things like that happens, and you never know unfortunately, how it turns out. And we would have had, if you think about it, you keep Ruff, we would have had him for 2016 and 2017. But anyway.
Yep. No doubt, Dave. And I just want to say, guys, I was at the Florida game that night. I was down in Gainesville, and man, Dave Nickel called a hell of a game that night.
Yeah.
I mean, he really had the offense going there. In the second half, we were just carving Florida up. I mean, just carving them up, and everything seemed to be working. And that was a game we definitely should have won. If you guys recall, the ball slipped out of Blake Kemp's
20-yard line.
Yep, we were driving, had the ball. What about the 20-yard line, 25-yard line, or something?
Yeah,
maybe closer than that.
I believe we were inside the 15 at that point.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And we had a chance, and there was a receiver. I'll never forget.
Bryce Williams, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, so that was. I mean, Kemp played the game of his life that night.
Threw for about 400 yards.
He really did, and I just, when I heard the news about Nickel, I thought, my mind took me back to that game, because he really called a great game, and it was just unfortunate the way things played out, obviously, that year. But and then Scotty Moe sealed our fate with Bankert ultimately, and kind of wound up transferring to UVA. But I guess it's in the past now, fellas.
And what I was saying as far as Blake Kemp, I think
we can still be mad about it.
I think you knew where I was coming from Matt, as far as Blake Kemp, because like that Florida game and some other games that season, I was just talking more about his just raw talent in terms of arm strength and so forth. He had some limitations, but no, Blake Kemp had a very solid season, and without the benefit of a running game, because we cannot run the football that night at all against the Gators. I don't know, probably had less than 30, 40 yards, if that, and still managed to throw for 400 yards, like we've discussed.
Oh, yeah. And Blake Kemp, didn't he have 4 wins out of the 5? I know Virginia Tech was Summers, but anyway, I don't want to dissect the 2015 season, but
oh yeah, yep.
I mean, it was just like, Summers was a heck of an athlete. We were lucky to have him on the team, but certainly, like I said, no Division I quarterback, and just so frustrating. But I want to tell you, fans, make sure in the next, I think we have Bubba's at Friday deadline for season tickets for football, hard to believe, just around the corner in a couple weeks. So make sure you get your tickets, 1-800-DIAL ECU, or go to ecpirates.com. It's coming right up around the corner, right?
I want to say it's May 1st. I'll have to double check on that.
Okay. All right. Well, I know it's here, coming pretty soon. So go ahead and buy your tickets now. Go ahead and make that happen. And we want to remind fans about that. And certainly good luck to, speaking of baseball, we'll get out of here. But we want to remind fans to, thanks to our great friends, Trent Brett, Gainell Brett, at Next Level Training Center. You can just go to simply nextleveltc.com. Give them a call, 252-756-NEXT. And Matt, Bubba, when you guys are here, we'll go to Next Level. And Matt, I'm sure that I could tell you're a slugger. You probably will hit some home runs on my pitching. Of course, that wouldn't take much, but you can knock it out of the park, so to speak. And Bubba, I'm sure you could get a few home runs in there too. But go to Next Level Training Center, folks. I'm telling you, they're fantastic. My kids have learned so much for baseball and softball. Again, nextleveltc.com, 252-756, and that's 6398-756 next. And guys, appreciate you so much. We'll find out how the Pirates do. Hopefully it's 4-0 for this coming week with State and the midweek game, and then Cincinnati, and that's on the road. Until next time, for Kyle, Bubba, and Matt, I am Dave Richmond, and you've been watching and listening to Extra Innings, brought to you by Next Level Training Center on the Sports Objective. Good night, everybody, and as always, go Pirates.
That concludes this week's edition of Extra Innings, presented by Next Level Training Center on the Sports Objective. Join us next Sunday night as we will once again talk East Carolina Pirate baseball. Be sure to follow the show on social media at The Sports OBJ on Twitter, at The Sports Objective on Instagram. Like and follow our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen to the show pretty much anywhere podcasts are found. As always, we appreciate you tuning into the show. Go Pirates!